Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to quickly start this event with an opening karakia, please. He honore, he kuoria, ki te atua. He monga rongo, ki te whenua, he whakaro pai, ki ngā tangata katoa. Amene. Ena mana, ena reo, ena matawa. Ka no mai, haere mai, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Inspector Brian Yanko, and I'm the manager for the New Zealand Police Fleet Service Group. And thank you again. We only had just, for some of you, recently got together for the launch of our new police dog wagon, and we're pleased to have you here again today for the launch of this new piece of technology that we're introducing into our fleet. Today's launch is part of a larger program of work that New Zealand Police have been undergoing in regards to some co-funding that we have been doing with ICA. Some of you will recall that earlier on in the year we introduced a number of EV vehicles to our fleet in the admin pool area. However, we thought that we would challenge ourselves and start looking at what we could do in the more pointy end or the operational end of our fleet, which no doubt would be more challenging. So today's event marks the start of that journey as we look to launch this vehicle. And I'm not going to talk for too much longer. I'm going to now hand over. As with any project like this, support must come from the top. And our next speaker is responsible for driving the New Zealand Police strategy and our vision to be the safest country. He has high standards and expectation and continually challenges those of us who are in his charge to be courageous and innovative in our work, and to be supportive to our front line, therefore contributing to be a professional, sustainable and modern world-class police service. I'd now like to introduce Commissioner Andrew Costa.
Thanks, Brian. Kia ora koutou. Thank you for making the effort to join us here today for the launch of our operational electric vehicle trial. New Zealand Police is committed to being a sustainable organisation. It's really important we play our part because we have 20% of the government's light vehicle fleet. So for us to be successful in achieving our public sector targets, police needs to be very much part of that journey. We do have some challenges, as you'll appreciate, that are unique to our operational environment. And so trialling an electric vehicle in the operational context will help us to understand how well that can work and what will need to be in place for us to be successful in transitioning our fleet in due course. So this vehicle, the BMW i4, was selected for the trial because of its suitability or most closely matching police's operational requirements. It is not to trial the BMW per se, it is to trial electric vehicles and see how they work in our operational setting. We're starting out using them in a road policing environment. Our road policing vehicles are generally single occupant, so a smaller cabin can accommodate the requirement, and we're able to test them across a range of locations around the country. So there will be 5 areas where these EVs will be trialled, and from that we will get learning from a range of different environments, including road conditions, environmental temperature, and a range of different uses. What we learn from this trial will inform us as to the suitability of electric vehicles in different operational settings. So it's exciting to be at this stage. There's still a lot of water to go under the bridge. I particularly want to acknowledge the funding that has come from the ECA in terms of supporting police to undertake this work. It's part of the wider government fund, and Paul Bill will speak to that shortly. And the work of our team to bring this about, the support of BMW New Zealand that's enabled us to get to this point. That's about all I need to say at this stage. We've got a short video which we'll show you, and then we'll invite Paul to speak. Thank you very much.
Police are proud to announce the trial of our first fully electric patrol vehicle, the BMW i4.
Sustainability at police is about supporting our people, our communities and our partners to thrive, whilst preserving the environment and ensuring that we deliver the services expected. We're taking a proactive and considered approach in meeting our decarbonisation goals, and this includes our operational fleet.
The The key word is operational, and ensuring that in our transition to electric, that we don't lose any of our operational capabilities. The BMW Line 4 is capable of 0 to 100 kilometres in 5.7 seconds. It has a range of up to 590 kilometres and can be fully recharged in approximately 2 hours.
Trialling this fully electric vehicle helps to inform our future fleet and how we can meet our sustainability goals.
This EV trial will allow us to determine how much of our fleet we can transition to EV and have the greatest impact both today and for the future. Thank you, Commissioner. Some of you will obviously recognise that location, the beautiful Boom Rock. There are a number of people, obviously, to thank that have got us to this point. It's not a case of purchasing a vehicle and putting it on the road. There's a large amount of research and testing that does go in to get us to the stage. And that involves, obviously, numerous stakeholders and key partners that work with us within the Fleet Service Group. And obviously for the vehicle itself, to BMW New Zealand, who are represented here today, and thank you for being with us. Through to our other key partners, such as Custom Fleet, the great job that Wade Group do, based in the Waikato, in our vehicle builds and the development they've done on this vehicle to get it to the stage today. And then also internally to our supply chain group, which consists of our sustainability group. They do a lot of research in the back and keep us true to form to make sure that we are achieving our targets and moving in the right direction. To our procurement group, who assist us in making things happen. And of course to my team, my test and evaluation team, who really have very high levels of standard and test the vehicle to ensure that it is capable and is safe for our staff to use and is suitable for the operational environment. As I stated earlier, this has come about by a co-funding arrangement with ICA, and I'm pleased to have representation here by Paul Bull, who's the Account Director, Public Sector for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. And Paul, I invite you to speak. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Paul Bull tāku ingoa. I do have the privilege of leading ICA's public sector engagement program. I want to thank New Zealand Police for the opportunity to be here today, and great to have Commissioner Costa unveil the BMW as the first fully electric operational vehicle into the fleet. It's always a pleasure to be at any announcement as part of the decarbonisation program across the public sector. ICA estimates that their state sector emits around 490,000 tonnes of energy-related emissions annually, and that's the equivalent of about 200,000 vehicles on the road. There's around a further 56,000 tonnes of greenhouse gas emissions produced from the government road vehicle fleet, and additional emissions from other form of travel as well. It's a big job to optimise and transition a vehicle fleet. It's not a simple case of just swapping out one vehicle for another, but it's a huge opportunity to reduce our national footprint. And it's critical that our state sector steps up, and that's what today is all about. Today we are celebrating a key milestone for New Zealand Police and their decarbonisation journey as part of the wider transition to electrify their fleet and the fit out of these 5 EV vehicles for operational needs. This is really an important piece of work, not just because it will help New Zealand Police on their own decarbonisation journey, but a broader New Zealand context. It will demonstrate how they can integrate into a fleet with specific operational requirements on the road. And that is something that a lot of large organisations, both public and private sector, can learn from. The wider fleet electrification project is part of an expected reduction emissions of 176 tonnes of CO2 emissions a year. The project has been supported from the State Sector Decarbonisation Fund, which ICA does administer, to the tune of $1.7 million, and that has been matched from NZ Police's own budget. ICA also administers an operational fund to help with vehicle leasing and fleet optimisation work, and we have also supported this program with a $135,000 co-funding grant to New Zealand Police. Seeing the steps that police are taking in incorporating EVs into their fleet is really important for the demonstration for public and private organisations that are following similar challenges. This funding's come out of the State Sector Decarbonisation Fund, which is to support the Carbon Neutral Government Program. The State Sector Decarbonisation Fund has supported 124 projects to date, with $215.5 million of co-funding since the beginning of the fund. The timing and undertaking of these projects also matters when it comes to meeting our targets and responding to the climate crisis. It can't wait till 2050, 2040, 2030. Reducing our reliance on fossil fuels must happen now. Investment will accelerate the state sector's transition off fossil fuels, particularly coal for energy, to low-emission alternatives like biomass and electricity. The fund has a focus on bridging the financial gap between the upfront cost of replacing equipment or vehicles with the cheapest option and replacing with the most efficient, low-emission options. Not only is it critical for us to take on these projects and to lead by example for other large energy-using organisations, but for us to show leadership across outside Aotearoa and show positive action to the rest of the world. The team at New Zealand Police should feel proud of the work being done at an organisation level and its commitment across all levels. Thank you again for hosting us today at this announcement. It's a pleasure to see a key government organisation lead by example for other organisations and businesses in New Zealand and across the world. Thank you. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Thank you, Paul. We were actually going to host this at Hampton Downs, but they had a race day on, so we thought for the noise we'd host it here. So we do apologise. We haven't managed to avoid the noise. But obviously what is keenly evident is the partnerships that are involved in getting us to this point. It just doesn't happen with us, and we do rely heavily on partnerships and working with others to make this happen. It reminds me of a quote that I've used a couple of times recently, and coincidentally it's actually a Henry Ford quote that says, "Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success." So again, thank you to everybody that has been involved to get us to this point. We are now going to invite you to go outside. We're going to ask the Commissioner to unveil the marked patrol vehicle we have here today. Julie will also be here to assist with any Q&A that we're happy to obviously answer questions once the unveiling has been done. So we'll allow you some time to go and set yourselves up, and we'll unveil the vehicle. Thank you.
When you're ready. Everyone good to go?
Oh, thank you, sir. That's kind of it.
Not a stop.
Still's always good to go. Everyone good to go?
So the vehicles we have 5 vehicles arriving. This was the first one to arrive that we fitted out recently and has been obviously fully tested. The vehicle beside it is one of the other 4 that have recently arrived in the country, and we'll be going through the same fit out, and these will be deployed in 5 different areas throughout New Zealand. Obviously to test we want to make sure that we're putting it into different terrains, into different areas with different temperatures and different environments that are going to test the vehicle. How they deal with the range, the range of the vehicle, whether they're going to be recharging back at the station, whether public infrastructure will also be used whilst they're out on patrol, and how the vehicle stands up to the operational environment and the demands of policing. Right now, we're happy to take the questions.
Are you guys happy with where you are, or do you need?
Yeah, sure. Just a little huddle
Yeah.
if that's all right.
Yep.
So for a second.
Do you want them anywhere in particular?
It doesn't have to be.
That spot?
Oh, just over so we can.
Aren't you?
Over to you guys.
So when you look for an EV police car, what are some of the specs that you look for? What are you searching for in a car?
We have some particular requirements around range, around the ability for the vehicle to take the kit that we have to carry, around the core performance of the vehicle. So when we were looking for the most suitable vehicle, the BMW i4 was where we landed. As I've noted, this is not about testing the BMW per se, it's about testing an electric vehicle in the police operational fleet.
So with any EV, there's challenges with weight and distance, and as we know with batteries, the more you put on it, the less range you get. What sort of work's been done to, I guess, address that or counter that from the police perspective?
This trial will help us to understand how that plays out in practice in real life police usage, but Brian can speak to some of the testing that's been done.
Yeah, so we do test. We put about 120 kg worth of gear within the vehicle, and then obviously there's the urgent duty driving component of it, which does put a strain on that battery as well. So what we part of this testing will be to see what effect that is and how much do we degrade that battery's performance with the police environment, and how much, as batteries are obviously becoming, we're getting larger ranges out of battery. That's obviously that's making it more viable for us to be able to look at these alternatives.
What sort of range will you expect to get out of this, or what are you expecting to get out of it?
The range from the vehicle is marketed at 590 kilometres on this vehicle. We can sometimes see, even in our petrol fleet, we'll see a reduction in performance of around about 27%. It is larger within the EV, but we need to get a better understanding of what that degradation looks like within an EV.
Were there other cars considered?
Yeah, look, absolutely. We went to a market to have a look at what was going to be good for the trial. Obviously, with the learnings that we take out of the trial, we'll be looking at going back to the market in a more formal manner to look for suitable vehicles going forward.
Outside of it obviously being environmentally friendly, I understand that petrol is a huge cost for police. Is this going to address a bit of that too?
They will be cheaper to run, clearly. There's also a higher purchase price, so that will need to be worked through. One of the big challenges for police is that many of our vehicles run hot. In other words, they're used 24/7, and so we have to factor that into our thinking about the number of vehicles that we would require to operate using an electric fleet.
I think a question a lot of people ask is, would it be used in a pursuit?
There's no reason why it can't be. The performance for an electric vehicle is very good. So it's suitable in that sense. We need to understand whether with our relatively harder usage, whether the EV can stack up in our operational environment.
You said around 590 kilometres is the range. Can you give a bit of context as to, would that cover a shift for an officer, or would they need to go back and charge up halfway through?
For our road policing officers, this could well work. trial is happening with our road policing staff, and it's probable that this vehicle will be suitable for their requirements for a shift. What will be interesting for us to see is with the kind of usage that you could expect in a frontline context, what the range is like with all our equipment, with the manner of driving that police vehicles are required to sustain.
And how many are going to be rolled out at the moment?
We've just got 5 in this trial.
That's correct. We're going to start with the 5. Obviously, we'll look at them in their different environments and there's a lot for us to learn through the trial, and obviously take those learnings on board, and that'll then obviously guide us in our next steps going forward.
All 5 in Auckland?
No, so the 5 are going to be spread throughout the country, and again, we're looking for different areas, different terrains, different temperatures, weather conditions, that type of thing, to see how the same vehicle performs in different environments.
How far away do you think the police are from totally weaning itself off petrol?
Until we get the results of this trial, it's very hard to understand that. We have to think as well about disaster situations. So how do we have a fleet that will keep operating for the requirements we would have in an emergency or disaster setting?
That was going to be my next question, because the first thing that struck me going down to sort of Brisbane and Hawke's Bay area is that anyone who had an EV couldn't use it for about a week or so because the entire power structure was wiped out basically. So what sort of thinking are police doing around this to address that?
The infrastructure requirements for us to run a resilient electric fleet would be very significant. And so this is the first foray into understanding how an electric vehicle performs in a police operational setting. Beyond that, we would need to look at, if it's suitable, what investment would be required in infrastructure to make that viable. So there's a lot of questions still to be answered. This is the first step in that journey. Clearly there are other vehicle technologies that could become relevant in terms of alternative fuels. So we need to keep a close eye on how this is unfolding as this area is moving very quickly.
How long is the trial going to be for?
So the trial is running over the next 6 months for the 5 vehicles to be in 5 different areas. From there, we'll be then guided from the data that we received from that trial and the evidence as to where we'll go to next.
Yeah, and how long does it take to charge an EV?
These particular vehicles, we've matched them with quite a high rating charger, so we want to be able to turn the vehicles around as quick as possible. But as part of that trial, we're also wanting to see if we require interaction with either public infrastructure. So if an officer takes a break, that he plugs the vehicle in at that time, it might only be for 10 minutes, but if that puts another 80, 100 kilometres on the vehicle, that may be sufficient to actually make the vehicle quite a viable option within that environment.
Behind the decision to keep this to roading officers?
We found it was quite a safe place to start. Obviously, a lot of the road policing staff are quite experienced officers. They're experienced drivers. They also quite often will do a shift, and so we do have some domicile time for the vehicle to be able to charge as well. So there was quite a purposeful selection within that area of our operational environment to use the highway patrol as a place to test.
Yeah, and I know in the past, looking at other vehicles, there was, perhaps not for roading officers, but looking at further down the line, there was, things that you had to look at in terms of headroom for getting people into the back of the car and that kind of criteria. Was that considered at all with this particular model? Yeah,
look, absolutely. So the whole it's an ecosystem that we're introducing into the fleet, and so not only is it the vehicle's performance and how it will operate within our operational environment, but also how there's a people factor to it. So we have to make sure that they're suitable for our staff. They obviously wear a lot of equipment on them as well, so we need to make sure the room is there. Obviously, when we're transporting people as well, we have to make sure that there is sufficient room within the vehicles, headroom, space, and also that the vehicle is safe, that it does have the safety requirements needed and that are built into the vehicle as well.
Does the trial include installation of your own charging stations?
Yes, it has. So where these vehicles will be based, we have chargers installed, specific chargers for these vehicles that are quite normally they'll be a higher rate charger than what you'd have in your normal home, so that we can charge the vehicles as quick as we can.
And also using public chargers as well. We might see these vehicles using public chargers around the place.
Yeah. It's highly likely you will see patrol vehicles using public infrastructure as well.
Just on the ranging, and I apologise for kind of a question, but obviously police cars come out with a lot of tech that if a car's sitting, is it going to zap through the battery a bit quicker?
We have a high drain from the devices that we use. That's getting more efficient as technology improves. Probably the biggest thing is the weight of the equipment that we carry and the nature of our driving, which is not a best case scenario for an electric vehicle. So we really need to see how this goes, and from there we'll know what our next steps are.
What's the cost of the trial?
So the cost of the trial, with the co-funding, it's about a $1.7 million co-funding that we've done with ICA. We obviously contribute to that as well. So we have sort of skin in the game in regards to this trial. And so all up, along with this has also helped fund the other 40-odd vehicles that we put into our admin fleet as well. And there's been a transition phase even within that admin fleet to introduce that.
And totally acknowledging this is a trial vehicle, but what's the cost of, say, putting this, getting one of these compared to one of the new scholars, for example?
Under the current co-funding, it's quite comparable and makes it quite viable to do that. Obviously going forward we have to look at the new technology, what the new technology is going to cost. There is a whole infrastructure component to that as well, and again that is part of the learnings that will be taken from this trial.
Why was the SCODA ENIAC IV not chosen for this program, and does this sort of impact the police's relationship with SCODA?
No, not at all. The ENIAC wasn't ready in time. In fact, I think the consumer vehicles are only to be arriving in September. So that obviously would have been another delay again. It's taken about 12 months of work to get this vehicle to where it is, so that would have been another 12 months down the track. We really needed to be looking at taking some action now, and working with our external partners and ICA and that to be doing something as soon as possible.
So just for some of our motoring specialists, I think we might make Brian available for you if you wanted something separate to this. Just with general news, are you guys happy? Are you happy for me to bring Paul Ball from ICA here while you're set up? Demand? Thank you. Okay, we're just going to get some photos done and then ask everyone to move down for the demonstration. But we'll get a few photos with the Commissioner. Thanks, guys.